I still remember the night when everything began to fall apart. It was late, past midnight, and the room was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. My phone buzzed, and when I picked it up, there was a message from an unknown number. The words were short, almost like a whisper through the screen. "She is not who you think she is." My heart jumped, but I ignored it, thinking it was a prank. Still, the words stayed in my mind like a shadow that refused to leave. That was the first seed of doubt, the first open wound that would not heal. The next day, while cleaning up the study, I stumbled upon an old photograph tucked inside a book. It was not mine, and I was certain I had never taken it. It showed a place I could not identify, but something about it felt painfully familiar, like I had seen it before in passing, somewhere I could not quite place. I slipped it back inside the book, pretending it was nothing, but the feeling gnawed at me. Why was it there? Who put it there? That was the second mystery that dug deep into me. Then there was my wife, Sarah. She had always been the rhythm of my life. Beautiful, graceful, and always smiling, she had been the center of my world for 8 long years of marriage. But recently, her routine had begun to change. She left the house earlier than usual, came back later, and sometimes disappeared in the evenings without clear explanations. She said she was helping a friend or attending late meetings, but the way she avoided my eyes when she spoke told me otherwise. That was the third puzzle I could not solve, the one that hurt the most, because I felt her slipping away. I tried to dismiss my doubts. We had built a life together. We shared dreams, laughter, and even tears. She had been there for me when I lost my job 2 years ago, supporting me with words of encouragement that kept me standing. I wanted to believe she was the same woman, loyal and true, but the small cracks were spreading across the surface of our marriage, and I was terrified of what I might find if I looked too closely. At dinner that evening, I watched her closely. She sat across from me, dressed in a pale blue blouse, her hair tied neatly, her eyes lowered toward her phone. She smiled faintly at something on the screen, then quickly turned it face down when she noticed me watching. My heart clenched. Once, her laughter had been open and free, shared with me. Now it was guarded, private, hidden in the glow of her device. "Everything all right?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yes," she said quickly. "Just a friend from work." Her tone was light, but her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her glass. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was paranoid. But in truth, my instincts screamed that something was wrong. I began noticing small things, unexplained credit card charges, sudden new dresses I had never seen her wear at home, and perfumes with scents she never used around me. Each clue felt like a needle pushing deeper into my chest. I wanted to confront her, but every time I opened my mouth, the words choked me. What if I was wrong? What if I accused her unfairly and shattered the trust we had built? I told myself to be patient, to gather more proof, to be sure before letting suspicion destroy us. But patience was the hardest thing in the world when I felt my heart breaking piece by piece. One night, I stayed awake longer than usual, pretending to sleep while she lay beside me. I watched as she carefully reached for her phone, slipping out of bed and walking to the living room. My chest tightened. I followed quietly, standing by the doorway in the dark. The glow of the screen lit her face as she typed quickly, smiling faintly. I wanted to step forward, to ask her what she was doing, but my legs would not move. I returned to bed, my thoughts spinning endlessly. By morning, I had made up my mind. I would find out the truth. It started with curiosity, but quickly turned into desperation. I remembered the message from the unknown number, the strange photograph, and her constant secrecy. My heart told me there was a connection. I decided to create an account on a dating site. I had never considered such a thing before, but something inside whispered that if she was hiding something, this was where I would find it. My hands shook as I typed my details, setting up a fake profile. I felt guilty, even ashamed, but I needed answers. Hours passed as I scrolled through endless profiles, faces of strangers searching for love, companionship, or fleeting connections. My heart pounded with each click. I told myself it was a waste of time, that she would never be here. But then, like a knife through the dark, I saw her. Her profile. Sarah. There she was, smiling in pictures I had never seen before, wearing dresses I had never bought, with captions that did not sound like her but at the same time, felt hauntingly familiar. She called herself Starlight, and her bio read, "Looking for someone who understands passion beyond boundaries." I froze. My breath caught in my throat. My hands went cold. My wife, the woman who kissed me goodnight, who shared breakfast with me every morning, was here, searching for something I thought we already had. I clicked through her profile, reading every word, staring at every photograph. Some were clearly taken outside, in places she claimed to visit with friends. Others looked like they were taken in an apartment I did not recognize. Each detail twisted the knife deeper. She was living another life, one I had no part in. My mind screamed for me to confront her immediately, to shout, to demand answers. But another part of me whispered to wait, to watch, to gather more, because maybe there was more beneath the surface than I could see. I sat in silence, staring at the screen until the early hours of the morning, tears burning my eyes. When she woke up and kissed me goodbye before leaving for work, I looked at her differently. Her touch felt strange, her smile felt fake, and her love felt like a mask. I wanted to scream, but instead, I nodded and watched her leave, wondering where the real Sarah had gone. Every moment after that was a storm inside me. I felt anger, pain, betrayal, and confusion. I remembered the way she once promised to love me forever, the way she cried on our wedding day, the way she held my hand when times were hard. Were those moments lies too? Or had she changed somewhere along the way? I walked through our home, touching the walls, the furniture, the photographs of us smiling together. They now felt like strangers' memories, frozen in frames that no longer belonged to me. I was living in a lie, and the woman I loved most had become the author of my heartbreak. Stay with me because what happened next will shock you. I could not stop thinking about what I had seen on that dating site. Every hour felt heavier, every glance at my wife more unbearable. She continued her days as if nothing had changed, smiling, laughing, preparing meals, and asking about my work. But for me, everything had changed. Her every word now sounded hollow. Her eyes, once so warm, now looked like they were hiding shadows I could not reach. I told myself I had to know more. Seeing her profile was not enough. I needed proof. I needed to understand who she was talking to, what she was hiding, and why she had chosen to betray me. My nights became long vigils. I lay awake while she slept beside me, wondering if her dreams belonged to another man. My days were consumed by thoughts of her double life. My heart ached, but my mind demanded answers. The message from the unknown number echoed in me. "She is not who you think she is." At first I dismissed it as a cruel joke, but now it seemed like a warning. Who had sent it? How did they know? And why did they choose me? I began to believe that someone out there knew the truth about Sarah, someone who wanted me to open my eyes. I returned to the dating site again and again, refreshing her profile, reading her posts, watching for changes. I noticed she updated her status often, usually late at night. She spoke of longing, of passion, of needing someone who truly understood her. Each line pierced me deeper. I wanted to scream that I had always understood her, that I had given her everything I could. But clearly, it was not enough. I dug deeper. I scrolled through the comments and interactions on her profile. Many were from strangers, but one stood out. A user with the name Nightwalker commented often, leaving words filled with charm and intimacy. Their exchanges felt too familiar, too comfortable. It was clear that he was not just another admirer. He was someone she trusted, someone she had let into her private world. I clicked his profile. His photos were vague, showing only glimpses of his face or silhouettes in the dark. Something about them felt odd, but I could not place it. He had written in his bio, "Searching for truth in a world of lies." The irony cut me like glass. I began to suspect that this man was more than just an online stranger. Maybe he was connected to her life beyond the screen. Maybe he was closer than I dared to imagine. I decided to test her. One evening, as she was leaving the house, I asked casually, "Where are you going?" She smiled, almost too quickly. "Just meeting a friend for dinner. She is going through a tough time." I nodded, pretending to believe her. But I watched the way her hand trembled slightly as she picked up her purse, the way she avoided my eyes. My chest burned with the weight of her lie. Hours later, I checked her profile again. She was online, chatting. My heart cracked a little more. The next day, the mystery of the late-night message finally unraveled. I received another text from the same number. This time it read, "You will not believe me until you see it yourself. Check her chats." My blood ran cold. Whoever this was, they knew something. They were leading me step by step toward the truth I both craved and feared. I hesitated, but then I remembered her profile. I searched deeper into the dating site, finding hidden conversation threads. And there they were, long messages exchanged between Sarah and Nightwalker. She called him my escape, my real connection, the one who makes me feel alive. I felt my chest cave in as I read those words. Words she once said to me were now given to another man. I scrolled further, my eyes burning, my hands shaking. They had been talking for months, maybe longer. She told him about her frustrations with me, her desire for freedom, her longing for adventure. She shared pieces of herself I thought only I knew. Every message was a knife. Every line was a betrayal. I wanted to slam the laptop shut, to erase it all, but I could not. I needed to know everything. And then, buried within their chat, I found something that made my skin crawl. She mentioned places they had been together, restaurants, and an apartment. She described moments of laughter, wine, and music. These were not just online conversations. They had met. They had touched. My world collapsed around me. I stared at the screen until the words blurred into darkness. My wife, the woman who shared my home, had built a secret life with another man. And then came the detail that nearly stopped my heart. She mentioned how much she loved the way he kept our photo in his apartment. The photo. Suddenly, the strange photograph I had found hidden in my study made sense. It was not just a random image. It was theirs. A piece of their life, carelessly left behind in mine. My knees gave out, and I fell to the floor, clutching the edges of the desk. Betrayal had never felt so sharp, so heavy. The following days blurred together. I watched her leave in the evenings, her excuses piling up, her lies delivered with a straight face. I followed her once, keeping my distance. She went into a building I had never seen before, stayed there for hours, and came back with that same glow on her face, the one she no longer showed me. I could not confront her yet. My anger was a storm, but I needed to see it with my own eyes, to strip away every doubt. The unknown messenger texted me again. "If you want proof, follow her Friday night. She will not hide then." I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. Whoever this was, they were leading me straight into the fire. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to shut it all out, but I had already crossed the line. I had to know. Friday night came. She dressed carefully, more carefully than she ever did for me. A black dress, heels, perfume. She said she was going to see her friend again. I watched her walk out the door, my jaw clenched. I followed. The city lights blurred past as I trailed her taxi at a safe distance. She arrived at a restaurant, one of those elegant places we had always said we could not afford. She walked inside with confidence, her smile bright, her step light. Minutes later, a man joined her. I could not see his face clearly from where I stood, hidden in the shadows, but their body language told me everything. She leaned close, laughing, touching his hand. His eyes never left hers. They looked like lovers, not just friends. My stomach twisted as I took photos, each click of the camera a dagger in my chest. After dinner, they left together, walking arm in arm. I followed again, my heart pounding, sweat dripping down my back. They entered the same building I had seen her visit before. I wanted to storm inside, to tear it all apart, but I froze. My breath came in ragged gasps as I stood in the street, staring at the door that closed behind them. And then my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. Now you see. But the man she is with, he is not who you think either. The words made my blood run cold. Who was he? Why did it feel like the ground beneath me was about to collapse completely? I walked away that night, my heart heavier than ever. I had proof, but I did not have answers. The truth was close, but it was hiding in the shadows, waiting to strike me down. Keep listening because the truth will break your heart. I could no longer escape the truth. Sarah was living a secret life, and every day I discovered more of it, piece by painful piece. The dating site profile, the late-night messages, the secret dinners, the apartment visits, all of it pointed to one conclusion. She was betraying me. Yet one question burned inside me like fire. Who was this man she risked everything for? Who was this nightwalker that filled her heart while mine was left in ashes? The unknown messenger's last words haunted me. The man she is with, he is not who you think either. Those words echoed in my chest like a curse. Not who I think. Which meant he was not just a stranger. He was someone close, someone within reach of my life. The thought clawed at my mind, ripping apart every bond of trust one had with the people around me. For days I could not stop myself from watching her closely. Her smile, her phone calls, her late-night absences. Every move she made screamed of deception. But what hurt more was the way she acted around me, pretending everything was fine, laughing as if she still loved me, holding me as if nothing had changed. Those touches now felt like poison, and every word she spoke dripped with lies. I needed the truth, the full truth, no matter how much it burned. And so one evening, I followed her again. She dressed with the same careful elegance, painting her lips a shade of red she never wore for me anymore. She left with her purse clutched tightly, her heels clicking on the pavement. I stayed back, keeping to the shadows, my heartbeat drumming in my ears. She arrived at the same building, the same place I had seen her enter before. But this time, I did not stay in the street. I forced myself forward, creeping closer, the fear and rage inside me guiding each step. Through the dim light of a hallway window, I saw them. She opened the door with her own key, and he was waiting inside. They embraced like lovers who had known each other for years. My breath caught in my throat. And then I saw his face. It was not a stranger. It was Daniel. My best friend. The world tilted beneath me. Daniel, the man I trusted more than anyone, the man who stood beside me at my wedding, the man who shared drinks with me, who laughed with me, who I confided in during my darkest hours, he was the one. He was Nightwalker. He was the shadow in my marriage. The photograph suddenly made sense. That photo I had found hidden in my study, the one that felt familiar but out of place, it was from his apartment. I remembered the lamp, the curtains, the faint outline of his furniture. My stomach twisted as realization crashed down on me. My wife and my best friend had been together in his home, laughing, taking photos, building a life in the shadows while I lived blind. I pressed my hand against the wall, my knees shaking, my vision blurring. How could they? How could the two people I loved and trusted most destroy me in such a cruel way? My chest ached as if someone had torn it open. I watched them from that narrow gap, my heart breaking with every second. She leaned into him, whispering something I could not hear. He touched her face, smiling the way I remembered he used to smile when we joked together. My blood boiled. Memories came flooding back. The countless times he had been around us, laughing with her, talking with her, even helping me choose gifts for her birthdays. The way he sometimes lingered too long in conversation with her, the spark in her eyes I had once mistaken for friendship. It had all been there, in plain sight, and I had been too blind to see it. My fists clenched until my nails dug into my skin. Part of me wanted to storm in, to tear them apart, to make them feel the pain they had given me. But another part of me froze in silence, too shattered to move, too broken to fight. I stumbled back into the night, my breath ragged, my body trembling. The city lights blurred through my tears as I wandered aimlessly, trying to make sense of the nightmare that had become my life. Daniel. My best friend. Sarah. My wife. The betrayal was complete. That night I could not sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every memory, every lie, every smile that had been nothing more than a mask. I thought of the nights Sarah claimed to be working late, of the weekends Daniel said he was too busy to hang out. They had been together all along, weaving their web of deceit while I remained tangled in the threads of love and trust. I thought of confronting her right away, of showing her the proof, of demanding answers. But then another thought took hold of me. If I confronted her too soon, she might deny it, twist the truth, make me question my own sanity. No. I needed more. I needed to gather every piece of evidence, every shred of their betrayal, so that when I finally confronted them, there would be no escape. The days that followed were torture. I watched her with eyes that no longer saw a wife, but a stranger. Her laughter sounded like daggers, her kindness felt like poison. I could not bear her touch anymore. Yet I played along, pretending not to know, waiting for the right moment. I began collecting everything. Photos, screenshots of her dating site profile, copies of their chats, the photographs from his apartment. I built a folder of betrayal, each piece of evidence cutting me deeper but also strengthening my resolve. But inside me, a storm raged. I loved her still, despite everything. I hated her too, with a fury that frightened me. And Daniel, I wanted to destroy him, to strip away the mask of friendship he had worn so well. One evening, I sat in my car outside Daniel's building, watching the lights in his window flicker. My hands gripped the steering wheel, my heart pounding. I imagined walking up those stairs, breaking down his door, and confronting them both. But I stayed in the car, paralyzed by the weight of my own pain. Instead, I whispered into the silence, "Why? Why did you do this to me?" No answer came, only the mocking laughter of memories that would never return. The betrayal hollowed me out, leaving me a shell of who I once was. But it also lit a fire inside me, a fire that demanded justice, that demanded truth. Do not go away, because the final truth will leave you speechless. The night of truth finally came. I could not carry the weight of silence any longer. My folder of evidence lay before me on the desk, printed photos, screenshots, messages, even the hidden photograph from Daniel's apartment. Every piece of betrayal sat there, mocking me. Sarah was in the kitchen, humming softly, preparing dinner as if she were the perfect wife. The sound turned my stomach. I called her name, my voice steady but heavy with the storm inside me. She walked in, smiling, holding a towel in her hands. "What is it?" I pushed the folder toward her. "Look at it." Confusion flickered across her face as she opened it. At first, she tried to mask her reaction, flipping through the pages quickly as if it meant nothing. But then her face strained of color. Her hands trembled. "What is this?" she whispered. "You tell me," I said, my voice low. "Tell me what all of this means." She closed the folder, pressing it to her chest. Her lips quivered as if she were searching for words. "It is not what it looks like." The fury inside me erupted. "Do not lie to me, Sarah! Do not you dare lie to me again. I know everything. The profile, the meetings, the apartment. Daniel." At the sound of his name, she froze. Her eyes widened. She knew the game was over. Tears welled in her eyes. "I never meant for you to find out like this." "Find out?" My laugh was hollow, broken. "You never meant for me to find out at all. You planned to keep me in the dark forever, didn't you? You and him. My wife and my best friend." Her tears spilled over, streaming down her face. She dropped to her knees, clutching my hands. "Please! I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." I pulled away, my skin burning at her touch. You already did. You destroyed everything. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. I looked down at the screen, and my blood ran cold. A message. From Daniel. We need to talk. She promised she would leave you. I cannot live like this anymore. My hands shook as I showed her the message. So it is true. He wanted you to leave me. Her silence confirmed it. Something inside me broke completely then. Love, trust, friendship, all shattered into pieces that could never be put back together. I stood, pacing the room, my chest heaving. You could have told me, Sarah. You could have left me before dragging me through this hell. But no, you wanted both. You wanted the safety of my love and the thrill of his arms. She sobbed, covering her face. I was lost. I did not know what I wanted. Her words cut like glass. That night I walked out. I left her crying on the floor, clutching the folder of her sins. I drove without direction, the city lights blurring through my tears. My phone rang again and again, her name flashing on the screen, Daniel's too. I ignored them both. Hours later, I found myself parked outside Daniel's apartment. The lights were on. Rage surged through me. This time, I did not hold back. I climbed the stairs, my fist clenched, and pounded on his door. He opened it, shock flooding his face when he saw me. Man, listen! I shoved past him into the apartment. The air smelled of her perfume. My eyes darted around, the couch, the framed photograph, the lamp, the same photograph I had once found in my study. The proof was everywhere. You betrayed me. I spat, my voice shaking. Daniel raised his hands. I did not mean for this to happen. It just... Do not! I roared. Do not feed me that lie. You had a choice, both of you. And you chose to destroy me. For a moment, silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. Then his expression hardened. She was unhappy, you know. She told me everything. About you. About the way you drifted apart. His words were knives in my chest. Do not you dare blame me for this. She loves me, he said simply. Something inside me snapped. My fist connected with his jaw, sending him stumbling back. Years of friendship, of laughter, of loyalty, all gone in an instant. We fought like strangers, fueled by rage and betrayal. But even as my fists landed, the pain inside me only grew deeper. Finally, I pulled away, gasping for breath, trembling with fury. He lay on the floor, blood on his lip, staring at me with equal parts hatred and pity. You have already lost her, he said softly. I left without another word. Days turned into weeks. Sarah tried to call, to explain, to beg. Daniel tried too. I ignored them both. The house felt empty, my heart heavier with every passing hour. Sleep abandoned me. Food lost its taste. The life I had known was gone. But then, one evening, an envelope arrived at my door. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. Sarah and Daniel together, sitting in a cafe, holding hands. On the back, written in her handwriting, I am sorry. Goodbye. That was it. No explanations, no closure. Just a final nail in the coffin of our love. I sat there for hours, staring at the photo, my soul hollow. Betrayal. Heartbreak. Shattered trust. That was all that remained. And yet, as I tell you this now, I realize something. Betrayal is not just about what they did to me. It is about what I let myself believe. I believed in love that was not real. I believed in friendship that was nothing but a mask. But now I know better. If you are listening to this, remember this: trust is a fragile thing. Guard it with your life. Because when it breaks, it does not just hurt, it destroys everything. And if you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe. Because betrayal always leaves a trail, and here, we follow it to the very end.